Hi, and welcome to another episode of Smecco Connects. I am Tom Dennison, and I am filling in for Sonja Cox, who is our president and CEO, who couldn't be here today. But we are so fortunate today to have someone who is so ingrained in the community now and is being welcomed here in Southern Maryland, gentleman named Robbie Gill,
Hey, how are
who
you?
is the president and CEO of the YMCA of the Chesapeake.
Yes, sir.
And overseeing the project that is now underway in Great Mills, the YMCA that is under construction and will be opening soon. So Robbie, just introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, where you live, and how long you've been involved with the YMCA.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to be here. So, Robbie Gill, I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the YMCA of the Chesapeake. I've been in Maryland and on the Eastern Shore for right at 21 years. I grew up in South Carolina, so that's where the accent comes from.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Definitely
it's a
not
shame that Sonja's not here because she's from South Carolina as well.
There you go. Was a Y kid growing up. Both my parents worked, and so they were smart enough to know that if they left me alone, I would have burned the house down. So I spent a lot of time at the Y and fell back into it out of college. And it's been just a great career. I live in Talbot County near St. Michael's, where my 4 kids have grown up there. And, the Y on the Shore has been around for a long time, since 1857.
Wow, it's amazing.
And we have 11 facilities across the Eastern Shore, as far north as Elkton and as far south as Chincoteague, Virginia, serving about 50,000 folks. And so 5 or 6 years ago, we connected to Mike Hewitt, who was over across the bridge for a Mako conference and was wanting to learn more about the Y. And so began some conversations way back in the day, and the commissioners put together a task force to really determine whether a facility and programs and services like the Y provides could be a benefit in the county. And through that work, they decided, this makes some sense. Let's try to figure that out. And did a marketing study to figure out right location and how many people we could serve. And the commissioners identified 3 different sites, and the site beside Great Mills High School made the most sense for serving the most people, and that a new Y there could serve as many as 8 to 10,000 people on a regular basis. And so from there, we did some fundraising work to kind of see what the interest would be, and that feedback was positive. And so then we dug in and started working at it.
Yeah.
And, I was at the Pax River Museum for a joint meeting there. I can remember being there a couple years ago when we were talking about, hey, this is what this could look like, and people being excited. And now to be, with a month or so out from opening the new Y is really exciting. So it's
a heck of an accomplishment.
Yeah, it's there were people early on when we were meeting with folks that are like, we've been trying to do something like this for 40 years. What makes you think this is going to be any different? And kudos to a lot of volunteers over the years who just never gave up, that knew a place like this could be a real benefit. It's just a building, but the Y is a community convener. It's a connector. It's a safe place for kids. It's a place to build relationships. We regularly heard, how do we create spaces that people that are serving the base, whether it be directly or through government contract work, could see St. Mary's County maybe in a different light, as a place like, hey, I can settle down and raise a family here and serve. And if I'm on the base, here's a way that I can connect outside of the base. And then, of course, in the general population and community as well, how do we create a place where everyone feels welcome? And the Y will do that. It's a place that there are no financial limitations to participate. Membership is based on income, and we can provide whatever assistance is necessary for people to participate. So it's, in today's world, it's a rare space where you'll see everybody there, which is cool.
I almost view it as like a heartbeat of the community, where you got where you can have individuals of all ages be able to participate. Everything from young kids taking swimming lessons to maybe grown-ups doing workouts and people playing pickleball. It serves a tremendous need. And I tell you, I was a Y kid as well.
Oh, all right.
I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, and my mom is still teaching swimming lessons and does the aquasize exercise
Very
classes for people at our YMCA in Du Bois, Pennsylvania.
Very nice.
So I have I've always kind of watched this project from afar, and it's really great to see now that the building's out of the ground, or the project is underway. And how far are we from opening, Robbie? And kind of what's your timeline on that?
Yeah, so should be a soft opening in early July with the kind of full bore, probably the middle of July. So getting very close equipment delivery and all that's here in a couple weeks, and then the pool's 90% along the way. So now we're 90% there now. It's a matter of just kind of buttoning everything up and wrapping up mechanical systems and all that. Staff have been hard at work with hiring. We'll hire about 100 people.
I was just about to ask that. So what's that process look like?
Yeah, so we've got Jen Lean, who's our executive director for the Y, here local, lives down in Lexington Park, and has built out a staff team of professional staff that are now hiring part-time folks that'll teach classes in a variety of different things. And we're also running the Great Mills pool, which will become an outdoor pool and not a year-round pool, because the Y has an indoor pool. And then also working to support some of the childcare needs that we see in the county. In partnership with the county, they're converting an old school into, I think it was an old military school right there by the county commissioner's offices, into a childcare center.
Oh, yeah. Would that be the Leonard Hall?
Yep.
Yeah. I remember reading something about that.
So that'll open within the new school year, next fall. So, there's a lot of different parts taking place, and it's gonna be great.
So will your pool, Robbie? I mean, will it host events like swim meets and things for high schools or anything like that, or clubs? Or
Sure, it's a good question. So on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, we host many high school teams, and the Y has teams as well. Most of those teams are swimming out of Leonardtown at the college right now. And so we'll navigate what that looks like and how to support that effort for sure. The pool is designed to really serve teaching kids to swim and older adults for water-based classes. So it's not, while it has 6 lanes, it's not built independently to be a competitive swimming pool. Though you can swim and compete. It'll be a little warmer than probably what a high-level swimmer would want. But you're trying to find a medium balance where the kids don't have blue lips, but you can get in there and swim and still be competitive.
Well, you're so right, because my older daughter just graduated high school last year, and she's at the University of Maryland now.
Oh,
and
congratulations!
She was a swimmer.
Okay,
and so we spent a lot of time at St. Mary's College and at various meets all around the Tri-County area, and then even over on the Eastern Shore. So it's a really big deal to have another pool where people can have access, because the bottom line is that the demand is there. It's just having another facility to go to is a really great thing.
Yeah, and you think about the benefits of water for someone as they get older and maybe have some physical limitations from an exercise standpoint, but can get in the water and still be active and mobile. We see that with folks battling or dealing with a variety of different disabilities. It's one step in and then you're in the water. And so in Talbot County, we run a camp for special needs kids in the summer. And it's pretty amazing that you see a kid who's dealing with cerebral palsy and wheelchair bound on dry land, but you get them in the water and they have full range of mobility and the ability to swim independently. And so having those types of facilities are key because, it creates opportunity in ways that if the water there didn't exist, you couldn't do it. So
yeah, certainly therapeutic. So Robbie, just kind of taking a step back, I know you talked about Commissioner Mike Hewitt talking to you over at Mako several years ago. I know there were a lot of government partnerships that went on. I know that I think when you all had groundbreakings, I know Congressman Hoyer was there. I know that the state was involved. So talk a little bit about how y'all got the political support and the financial support to get to where you are today.
Yeah, you're talking about a $22 million project for a charity, and so that's a heavy lift.
It's a big number.
And so you've got to get creative and a lot of people involved to make that happen. And so obviously the county is the biggest partner. They put $15 million in towards the project, and it's on county property. The unique part of that is the county actually will own the building and the land, and the Y will lease it for 100 years. Yep. And that gave us the ability to, as an organization, to project manage and build that facility kind of to the specs that we knew the community wanted based upon the market study that we did. Senator Van Hollen, Senator Cardin, Senator also Brooks, obviously Congressman Hoyer, instrumental in supporting some congressionally directed spending bills. So we received 2 of those for a total of $1.7 million. And so trying to navigate that with HUD now here at the end of the project. And then the state, through Brian Crosby, was kind enough to secure $75,000. And then the rest is all through private donations. So currently today, about 232 different gifts, the smallest being $50 and the largest being $250,000.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And so on average, about within the private donations, about $16,000 a person on average. And that's kind of what it takes. Like to do, this will be, it's kind of hard to look at this very moment, but years from now, people will look back and go, well, that was a transformational moment in that it created this place where people could come together and kids could get their first job, and just programs and services would come into existence that aren't currently in place, and so it's a chance for people to say, hey, I
participated.
I helped make that be a possibility, and kudos to the commissioners. It's easy to push something down the road and not make a decision as an elected official.
Sure.
Because when you do, there's always going to be opposition. But kudos to them listening to constituents, seeing the opportunity and the need, and I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised to see how many people's quality of life are being benefited from a Y like this. It's going to be good. Yeah.
So based on your experience, Robbie, from building some of these other Ys, was St. Mary's County unique in any way? Did it take longer? Was it shorter? Was the fundraising easier, harder? Anything that stands out that way?
The uniqueness for us is it's on the other side of the bridge.
Yes.
And I used to joke that I was going to get my pilot's license, but then none of the staff said they'd fly with me. And they're like, we should take a boat, but just knowing how rough the water could be, that wasn't kind of a thing either. But, I think one of the unique challenges here is it's the first Y in Southern Maryland.
Exactly.
And so for a lot of folks, they don't know what a Y is. And so you've got an education component to that too. Whereas the Y's been rooted on the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
Right. Forever.
For 170 years, right? So that looks a little different. And then, St. Mary's County is kind of way down there.
It is.
So when you're looking for contractors and folks to jump in, that can be somewhat challenging too. But we've got a good team of people. KRM Construction that built our Y in Kent County and Queen Anne's was kind enough to come across the bridge, and Great Mills Trading Post here locally jumped involved and got involved, as well as some other vendors. And so, just the coordination is a little bit different. And so that's been a little more of a challenge. I would tell you, though, what a great community of people, incredible volunteers, retired Rear Admiral Bert Johnston.
Oh, wonderful.
And Beverly, his wife, are our co-chairs for the Capitol campaign. And we have a team of about 20 folks that are just unbelievably dedicated and committed to seeing this through. And people are super supportive. And there's parts that people don't even see yet that are going to be cool. Like, being located right beside the school, we have 2 Ys that are, there's a high school right across the street from Queen Anne's High School in Centerville.
Okay.
And then the Easton YMCAs are across the street from the middle school. And you'll see 200 kids a day walk across the street there from Great Mills High School to just be at the Y, a safe place to be and hang out with friends. And that's
and things to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
You've got exercise rooms, you've got basketball courts, you've got the pool, you've got
just a place to spend time with friends and engage in activity, and that'll be a win in itself, just location-wise.
So, Robbie, what's the elevator speech for the Y? I mean, when somebody says to you, like, why the Y, or that kind of thing, what's your message to folks?
Well, you said it pretty well as a heartbeat. I would say, I'm from the South, so I would say it's the front porch of the community, but I may steal yours. I kind of like that. The Y is this powerful organization of community members that come together to better not only themselves, but the people that they get to call home with here locally. And it's a place where no one's ever turned away. So there are no financial limitations. And then the Y can be anything you want it to be. And so if there's a specific need, as an example, in Dorchester County, we're very involved with third grade campaign for grade level reading. They were a year ago, second to last in third grade comprehension. So we jumped in to support that work. And now they're, I think, around 20th. So they're making great progress. So the Y has this flexibility to meet key community needs. And I think that's the strength in the organization. It's governed by volunteers.
Okay.
And it's led by staff as temporary stewards. And it's something that's just going to be around for the next 100 years, which is powerful. So
yeah, I mean, it's such a community benefit, and it says a lot about you too. I think the commitment you have to the community and growing the footprint of the YMCA, the Chesapeake, that you've now kind of have an anchor point in Southern Maryland. Do you see any other expansion opportunities in the area, or maybe on this side of the bay?
Sure. Yeah. It's interesting. When I moved over here way back in the day, my board chair at the time, who was a mentor of mine, said, "Don't get any crazy ideas about growing the wild. We need to take care of home." And we kind of focused on that. And as we got better at it, there were other communities that were like, "Man, it'd be really nice if we had those same opportunities for our kids and families and older adults." And the Y's kind of grown organically. This wasn't ever on our bingo card at all, but we saw an opportunity, and while it's the other side of the bridge, this St. Mary's County is a lot like the Eastern Shore.
Very much so.
Nearly, you would never know any different if you could stick it over there and it'd be the same or over here. And we felt like if we're being called to serve, we should figure that out. And we don't have any other, let's say, expansion plans or strategies for Southern Maryland, but I think what we'll find is as we see this YMCA really make some transformational impacts in the community, there'll be other counties and or communities that say, "Hey, how do we figure that out?"
Yep.
And if we can be of assistance to help folks navigate that, we'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, you can rest assured that there'll be some people from Charles and Calvert County at that YMCA in St. Mary's. So I think those questions and comments will definitely be coming your way, and it's a good thing. And Robbie, I really liked your description of what the Y was, how it was started, and volunteers banding together for a community purpose. And electric co-op is very similar. When we were formed in 1937, it was farmers and landowners, many of whom didn't have an opportunity to get electricity because the investor-owned utilities to the north, we didn't have a population that made sense for them to bring their services to us. And so they banded together, and through the New Deal, FDR's program, they created the co-op, and now SMECO is one of the largest on the East Coast. So it's similar roots, similar mission.
Well, in these rural communities, like, I think the power in that is you find community leaders and volunteers that deeply believe in the place they call home. And while there may be limitations, those folks blazed a trail to say, well, just because we don't have that doesn't mean we don't deserve it, and let's figure out a way to do it. So we have, Easton Utilities as a co-op.
Good friends.
Across the bridge, great people there, and Chop Tank Electric as well. And
so Chop Tank's the co-op. Easton is a municipal utility.
Yep.
So good friend John Horner is the president and CEO over there. Excellent guy.
But appreciate all you guys do and support for the project that we're working on too. And
we're happy to be a part of it and glad to be a part of it. So just kind of finishing up, Robbie, how can people find out information about the facility when it opens, if they're looking to join? Where do they go?
So
what do
maybe
they do?
share a few things.
Sure.
We currently run a program in Leonardtown at the library for people with Parkinson's called Rock Steady Boxing. It's a free community-based program. There's about 32 folks that are there twice a week. Incredible program. The Y is very engaged in health intervention-based programming, and we'll be partnering MedStar on some of that work.
Okay.
And so you have this Parkinson's program. There's a program for people with dementia and Alzheimer's, balance and stability programming, cancer survivor, diabetes prevention. All those programs are completely free. You don't have to be a member of the Y to participate. And so we'll continue to do that work in Leonardtown, but then all those programs will be run at the new YMCA across from the high school. And and I think the best thing to do is, if you really have an interest, especially for so many that maybe this is their first experience with a Y, when you're down in that part of the area, you should swing in. There's the Y is currently running the Great Mills pool, and so our staff are there and would love to give you a tour and help you learn a little more about all the programs and services that are available. I often say no one really comes to the Y and says, I missed you treadmill number 7. That's not really a thing. People go there to connect to other people.
Agreed.
And whether that's through pickleball or exercise or swimming or just self-care, it's really the community component of it is what makes it special. We have folks that come to the YMCA. We have a lady in Easton that comes into the Y, and she works with a trainer for about 5 minutes, and she's got literally her Sunday best on. And people often will think, why is she on a treadmill? But, for her, those 2 days a week she comes in, that's, there's 5 minutes of that, and then there's an hour of just socializing. And for her, going home to an empty house, the Y is her place to connect to friends and family within the Y. And it's something different for everybody, right? And so that's the power of the organization.
Well, Robbie, this has been terrific. From one Y kid to another.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you do.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Thanks for all you do, and thank you for what you're doing here in Southern Maryland. And good luck with the opening.
Thanks. We're blessed to be here and grateful for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.